Some rappers proudly display their gang affiliations, representing their crew wherever they go.
Get it in. Neighborhood!
But then there are those who keep it low-key, quietly tied to some seriously dangerous crews, like MC Hammer, who was linked to a lethal squad.
Oh, his entourage was something like I never seen in my life. Like, it was literally
100 people.
More than 100 people.
So basically, he came with Hammer like, hey man, it's LA and everything, man, and things can happen, you know what I'm saying? You have to holler at me, man, you know what I'm saying? Holler at me for protection. I'm saying, protection for what? See, man, I got 12 bodyguards out there. 5 of them straight killers. You know what I'm saying? So, what you talking about? You know what I'm saying? I don't need no protection.
To Eminem's unexpected connections with ruthless Samoan gangs.
DJ Muggs, Soul Assassins, Cypress Hill.
So Eminem was getting extorted by some Crips.
Meaning that they're saying you can't come out here unless you pay us or...
These are the famous rappers with hidden ties to dangerous gangs.
From Compton, I could have easily came out and said, I did this, I did that. I done killed a whole bunch of but just giving off fact where I'm from.
Let's start with Kanye West. Remember when Kanye and Drake were beefing? Their rivalry intensified when they dropped albums around the same time, Donda for Kanye and Certified Lover Boy for Drake.
Up now to this text from him, like passive, like sends me something I did. Yo, I love you, brother. Lift Yourself comes out with him just talking nonsense.
But in the midst of all that drama, something crazy came to light. Drake took to OVO Sound Radio and leaked an unreleased Kanye track, Life of the Party, featuring Andre 3000. That alone was shocking, but what really grabbed everyone's attention was a specific lyric. At one point, Kanye raps about his fallout with Drake, saying, I told Drake, don't play with me on GD.
Life of the party.
And just like that, the internet went wild. If you didn't know, GD stands for Gangster Disciples, one of the most notorious and violent gangs that have dominated Chicago's streets for decades. For a while, some fans had already speculated about Kanye's possible ties to the GDs. One of the first clues came during his early Donda listening parties, when he was seen backstage wearing exclusive merch featuring a 6-pointed Star of David combined with a Christian cross, a symbol also used by the Gangster Disciples to represent their set. But just before Donda dropped, Kanye was spotted in the studio with Chicago rapper Ruga. If you're familiar with Chicago drill music, you already know Ruga was making waves at the time with GD Anthem, a track that was quite literally an anthem for the Gangster Disciples.
It was a new Abu Dhabi. Told Drake don't play with me on GD, and he sent that message to everybody.
Not only was Ruga working with Kanye behind the scenes, but at Kanye's third Donda listening party in Chicago, he actually brought Ruga out on stage to perform GD Anthem in front of an entire stadium. But the connections don't stop there. If you go back and listen to Jesus Lord on Donda, you'll notice something interesting. Toward the end of the song, there's an extended monologue from none other than Larry Hoover Jr. For those who don't know, Larry Hoover Sr. is the founder of the Gangster Disciples and has been locked up for decades. He's currently serving a life sentence at ADX Florence, one of the most secure and isolated prisons in the US. But why was Larry Hoover Jr. even featured on Kanye's album? Well, remember when Kanye went through his phase of wearing the MAGA hat and hanging around Donald Trump? At the time, many thought he had completely lost his mind. But what most people didn't realize was that he was actually doing it to advocate for Larry Hoover's release.
The sentence? 6 consecutive life sentences in the most secure prison in the world.
So it's very important for me.
Next up is Eminem. Back in 2003, he collaborated with the legendary Booyah TRIBE on their single 911. But this wasn't just your typical rap collaboration. It ran much deeper. For those who don't know, the Booyah TRIBE wasn't just a hip-hop group. They had strong ties to the Samoan gangs of Los Angeles.
All my life, man, I've been waiting for my father to come home.
If you know anything about gang culture, you'll understand that the Sons of Samoa are no joke. They might seem laid back and easygoing, but when provoked, they're known to snap, with deadly consequences.
They done let the GDs in the dough. Hey, they done let the GDs in the dough. Yeah.
Back in 2020, Booyah Tribe's nephew, Monster Gunja, revealed that his uncles weren't just rappers. They were also working as security for Eminem back in the day.
TJ Muggs, Soul Assassins, Cypress Hill.
Turns out, Slim Shady was being extorted by the Los Angeles Crips. This kind of extortion even has a name-checking and asterisk. Essentially, when a rapper or celebrity visits a city, especially one with a strong gang presence like Los Angeles, they're often expected to check in with local gangs or street bosses. Refusing to do so usually comes with consequences and not the kind anyone would want to face.
We all got some gangsta this Saturday, man.
What? Regulated.
But the Booyah Tribe came through for Eminem. They stepped in, provided protection, and in return, secured a feature on 911.
Did you catch this? 100%. Simone.
This might also explain why Eminem never seemed intimidated by Suge Knight. Take, for example, the time when 50 Cent was filming the Inda Club music video. Out of nowhere, someone yelled, "Suge Knight is here." And just like that, chaos erupted on set.
And didn't they do security for Eminem a little bit when M used to come out to the West Coast? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Suge didn't come alone. He pulled up with about 30 men, reportedly members of a Mexican gang.
You better check in. Mad I'm gangster. Straight up.
Amidst all the tension, Eminem was also present at the video shoot. True to form, he didn't back down.
So Eminem was getting extorted by some Crips.
Meaning that they're saying you can't come out here unless you pay us or...
Yeah.
Then there's the story from the 2001 Source Awards. Eminem was there performing with his group, D12. Normally, artists were allowed to have their bodyguards nearby at these events. But for some reason, the rules that night required security to sit separately from the artists. This left M in a vulnerable spot, one that Suge and his crew didn't hesitate to exploit.
This is why I always respected Eminem, 50, and with us. So Suge came, he had some Mexican. We from New York. You ain't never seen a tattoo on his forehead. He liked the cigar, and he trying to see what you gonna do. So Eminem, 50, everybody outside.
According to Eminem's former bodyguard, Big Naz, things got sketchy fast. M found himself surrounded by a group of intimidating men in red shirts, a clear sign they were affiliated with the Bloods, the gang Suge Knight was known to have ties to. Big Naz quickly sensed something was off and sprinted across the venue to get to Eminem.
This is when I knew Eminem was real. He's like, I don't give a man. This is when I knew, I'm like, damn, Eminem is a real 50 what's up?
However, despite all the tension, it's highly likely that if Suge Knight had ever laid a hand on Eminem, he would have faced serious consequences. Thanks to M's connection to the Samoan gang, a group even Suge was known to tread carefully around.
I was walking to his seat, I'm standing off to the side, and M was cut off on his way to his seat, and all these guys in red shirts surrounded him. And I'm looking at M's face, and I'm looking at these guys, I'm like, I'm ain't right.
However, despite all the tension, it's highly likely that if Suge Knight had ever put his hands on Eminem, he would have faced serious consequences. Thanks to M's connection to the Samoan gang, a group even Suge was known to tread carefully around.
He said, death row, this death row about, this death row life. I was like, death row, what does it got to do with him? He said, hey man, Suge sent him a message.
Sure, he had the flashy dance moves, parachute pants, and a style that didn't exactly scream tough guy. But behind all that, Hammer had real street cred. He was well-connected, highly respected, and backed by a crew that didn't mess around.
I was like, what's up? Suge Knight scared of you. Suge Knight scared of you. Everyone I talked to, man, is Suge really this, really that? I was like,
but
I'm Samoan, man. I don't give I don't care. You King Kong, you Godzilla, you gonna get
Yes, sir.
During his peak, MC Hammer was everywhere. On TV, in music videos, commercials, movies, and even cartoons. His album success launched him into hip-hop superstardom, and he was living the high life with all eyes on him. To the outside world, it seemed like nothing could go wrong, like his path was completely smooth. But fame comes with its own set of challenges. While Hammer was adored by millions, he also faced heavy criticism from the media, fans, and even fellow artists.
That goddamn MC Hammer, very serious about beef. Y'all laugh and y'all joke about Hammer. No, 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 no. MC Hammer was there. That me. He was like, Red, I'm gonna tell you something, you young, but I don't allow nobody talking about my mama. You understand me? I said, yes, sir.
Some people in the industry just didn't know what to make of MC Hammer. To them, he didn't fit the typical hip-hop mold. With his clean-cut image, carefully choreographed dance routines, and those iconic parachute pants, he seemed like an easy target. Plenty of rappers assumed Hammer was soft, just a guy from Oakland they could diss in their songs without worrying about repercussions. But they couldn't have been more wrong. Ure, Hammer's stage persona was flashy and energetic, but offstage, he had serious street ties. His family was connected to Felix Mitchell, one of Oakland's most infamous drug lords. Mitchell led the 69th Mob, a criminal organization that dominated the city's drug trade. At the height of his empire, he was reportedly making over $1 million a month selling crack and heroin, controlling much of Oakland, including the neighborhood where Hammer grew up. Even after the FBI dismantled Mitchell's operation in 1985, Hammer and his brothers had already spent their formative years surrounded by some of Oakland's most powerful gangsters. So while Hammer's public image was polished and commercial, behind the scenes, he had deep-rooted street connections. When people in the industry started mocking him, Hammer took stock of the situation and handled it wisely. Take, for example, his beef with Third Bass. The tension began when Hammer dissed Run DMC, prompting Third Bass to fire back with a diss of their own. In their song, The Cactus, they took things a step further, specifically targeting Hammer's mother. The line, "The cactus turned Hammer's mother out," was a double entendre, referencing both their 1989 Cactus album and Hammer's hit record from the same year, Turn This Mother Out.
Yo, his entourage was something like I never seen in my life. Like it was literally
100 people.
More than 100 people.
That jab didn't sit well with Hammer or his family, especially his brother, Louis Burrell. In a 2015 interview, MC Search, a member of Third Bass, revealed just how serious things got. While flying to Los Angeles, Def Jam president Carmen Ashurst Watson received a chilling phone call. A voice on the other end asked, "Is Third Bass on their way to LA?" When she confirmed they were, the caller, who identified himself as Louis Burrell, reportedly responded, "Good, they're dead." According to Search, this wasn't just an empty threat. He claimed that fellow Def Jam artist Eric B. later confirmed there was a $50,000 hit out on them, allegedly to be carried out by the Los Angeles Crips.
You a rapper or not?
Well, in one unescapable aspect, yes, and that is the fact that I don't sing.
To keep things from spiraling out of control, Russell Simmons, co-founder of Def Jam, took precautions. He brought in Barefoot Boogie, a well-known figure in the hip-hop scene, to act as security for Third Bass during their stay in LA. Even with Boogie watching their backs, tensions remained high. One day, Search and his girlfriend went to a mall while Boogie kept a close eye on them. At first, everything seemed fine, until a group of Crips showed up. As Search was signing autographs for fans, the gang members started pressing him. The situation was tense, but Boogie managed to step in and defuse it before things turned ugly.
We were saying our album was doper, but we were saying it in New York. We had some slick talk coming out our mouth.
Right.
Hammer thought we were talking about us mom.
Instead of taking this as a warning to lay low, Search decided to keep the feud alive. The very next day, while on a live radio show, he called MC Hammer a bar and accused him of hiding behind his goons. That reckless comment didn't go unnoticed. Shortly after, the radio station received a chilling phone call from someone claiming to be a member of the Rollin 60s Crips, delivering a blunt message. "We're going to kill you."
Here's somebody say, is Third Bass on their way to LA? And she goes, yeah. And the voice says, "Good, they're dead. This is Louis Burrell," and hangs up. Eric B. basically puts a feeler out and finds out it's true, that there's a hit out on Third Bass. with the Crip.
Understandably shaken, Third Bass bolted from the radio station, jumping into their car and speeding back to their hotel. But as they drove, a car full of Crips began tailing them, making it clear this was no idle threat. The situation escalated when the Crips pointed guns at them, a chilling message that they meant business. Somehow, Search and his crew managed to make it back to their hotel unharmed, but the experience left them terrified. For the remainder of their press tour in Los Angeles, Third Base wore disguises and avoided public appearances as much as possible. The moment they wrapped up their promo duties, they got out of the city. Even years later, Search admitted the ordeal left lasting scars. In a 2018 interview with Vlad TV, he reflected, "I've been through 25 years of therapy 3 days a week. I'm not good. I wish I could be good, but when somebody tries to kill you over a rap lyric, it's hard to explain what that does to you."
I'm signing autographs, and I look up, and I'm signing autographs, and as they get closer, the dude over here, he pulls the rag up. Dude over here, he pulls the rag up. And as they come up to me, Pookie whistles. Everything stops. He throws up some signs. And it's one dude right in front of me who's got his hand on his ratchet, pulls down his mask, and he goes, "Yo, man, I love that record, but I was finna smoke you right now, homie."
Because of all this drama, some sources started linking Hammer to the Crips. But that was purely speculation. Hammer never claimed any gang affiliation in his life. In fact, he and his crew once made an OG Crip member apologize to him. Benito, one of Hammer's vocalists, recalled an incident from back in the day. After an event in Los Angeles, Hammer and his team were loading into their vans to head back to their hotel when they spotted a familiar face rolling up, Michael Concepcion. Michael wasn't just any guy. He was one of the original founders of the Crips, a major figure in gang circles. Despite being paralyzed from a gang-related shooting in 1977, he still held serious influence in the streets. He rolled up on Hammer with a crew of Crips in tow and told him they needed to talk. Essentially, he was offering Hammer protection while he was in LA, warning him that anything could happen in the city.
You know what? I said, man, if you feel like we dissed your matriarchal, that's okay, but you know what you did. You know what's going on in these streets. Why don't you man up and see me face to face live? Greg Mack, who's this? Rolling 60 Crip N-word, we finna kill them. Boop! Ah!
Hammer was caught off guard by the whole exchange and questioned why he would need protection when he already had his own squad of bodyguards, 12 of them to be exact. And these weren't just your average security personnel. Some of them were straight-up killers. So Hammer wasn't exactly feeling like he needed Michael's help. Michael didn't seem to like Hammer's response and kept pressing the issue, warning him that he should watch his back.
Not good. I've gone through 25 years of therapy 3 days a week. I am not good. I wish I could be good. But when somebody tries to kill you over a rap lyric,
that's when things got heated. Hammer's bodyguards were ready to handle the situation right then and there, but Hammer held them back. Instead, he made it clear to Michael that with just one phone call, he could shut the whole thing down. And Hammer wasn't bluffing. The next morning, Michael actually came back to apologize, proof of just how much respect Hammer commanded.
You know, hanging out, I know they Crips because my cousins are all Crips in LA. So I'm like, there's some gangbangers. What they doing out here? You're like, hey, I want to holler at you for a minute, Hammer.
Next up is Ja Rule. While he was never affiliated with a gang before his rap career took off, everything changed the moment he signed with Murder Inc. Records, owned by Irv Gotti. Through Murder Inc., Ja Rule became connected to Supreme McGriff, a notorious drug lord and gangster. This relationship would be a key factor in the infamous beef between Ja Rule and 50 Cent, a rivalry that ultimately led to 50 Cent getting shot 9 times. To really understand how all of this unfolded, we have to go back to the early 1980s. That's when Supreme founded a gang named after himself, the Supreme Team, based in the Jamaica section of Queens, New York. Under his leadership, the gang grew to hundreds of members and controlled the crack cocaine trade in the Baisley Park houses, where McGriff grew up. At its peak, the Supreme Team was reportedly pulling in around $200,000 a day. But in 1987, McGriff was sentenced to 12 years in prison. He was paroled in 1994, only to be locked up again by the end of the year. It wasn't until 1997 that he finally cleared his convictions and began a new chapter, getting involved with Ja Rule and Murder Inc., where he became one of the label's main protectors. At the time, Ja Rule and 50 Cent had a somewhat neutral relationship, but 50 was struggling. He wasn't a star yet and was far from Ja Rule's level of fame. Desperate to make a name for himself, he dropped How to Rob, a track dissing the entire industry just to stir up controversy and grab attention. Then came the infamous beef with Ja Rule. According to 50, the tension started when his friend Troy robbed Ja. Later, when Ja and 50 crossed paths at a club, 50 tried to clear the air, but Ja believed 50 had been involved in the robbery. Ja Rule later confirmed that he was robbed, but denied ever seeing 50 with the guy who did it.
I'm saying, protection for what? See, man, I got 12 bodyguards out there for 5 of them straight killers. You know what I'm saying? So, what you talking about? You know what I'm saying? I don't need no protection. Man, you need to holler at me, man. If you don't, something could happen to you, whatever. He said, what you trying to say? He said, you need to go ahead and, take care of that and everything will be cool.
Supreme stepped in and told 50 to stop harassing Ja Rule. Since Supreme was someone 50 Cent once looked up to, he agreed, but that didn't mean the beef was over. Even after backing off in person, 50 continued dissing Ja Rule in his track, Your Life's on the Line. Out of respect for Supreme, he removed certain lines that mocked Jaya as a studio gangster, who needed Supreme's help to get his chain back. But the shots he did take were enough to keep the tension alive.
Our people looking like, yeah, I'm waiting for you to move. Hammer, hey, what's up? He said, hey man, it's like this. I'll make one phone call and all this will go away. What's up, man? He said, man, I apologize for the thing. I didn't know, the people you knew or whatever, this and that. I apologize for what I did, brother. It's all good, we cool, we good. And Hammer's like, yeah, it's all right.
In 1999, tragedy struck both Supreme and 50 Cent when their mutual friend Black Just was killed. The story goes that rapper E Moneybags had put down a deposit to buy a car from Supreme, but when he later asked for his money back, Supreme laughed it off and told him to forget about it. That didn't sit well with E Moneybags. One day, he opened fire on Supreme while he was in a car with Black Just. Just was hit twice, including in the thigh. Instead of rushing to the nearby hospital, Supreme drove to the hood and asked someone else to take Just for medical help. That delay proved fatal. Black Just didn't make it, and E Moneybags suddenly found himself with some serious enemies.
But it had nothing to do with him. Like, I didn't even know you know this dude.